Hi guys, John from B&P Campers. Just going to do your handover video on your Autosleeper Nuevo. So it's 63 reg and it's on the 2.2 turbo diesel. So on the left hand side we've got your washer fluid up here, power steering fluid under this little cap just here, and your engine coolant in this reservoir at the front with the orange coloured stuff. This one here is your brake fluid, and that is attached to your servo just down there at the back. Engine oil goes in through this cap just here at the front, and you can see there no horrible coloured white stuff in there, so there's no water inside the engine. And if I put that on properly, that's that. Your engine oil dipstick is this one just here at the front with the yellow top, and your basically that's it for the like fluids and things. The fuel filter sits up here in this little plastic casing. Air filter sits inside here, and the only other thing to point out really with this one is that on this age of chassis, the engine battery sits just in front of the passenger seat in the cab. So if you want to jump start the vehicle, you've got a positive terminal here. So that literally links from here straight to the positive terminal on your engine battery, and your negative one just here. So sometimes there's a little sticker here saying for jump start only, but basically this is your negative point, positive point. If the negative, sometimes these do get a little bit rusty over the years, so this is the original place for it. But if you don't get a very good earth from that, there is a little kind of engine hoisty part just down here somewhere. Or basically, to be honest with you, any kind of clean metal that you can find, you know, the engine hoisty bits down there, they're fine. The engine mount over there, any of that sort of stuff for an earth is absolutely fine. But to be honest, that doesn't look very rusty at all, so you know, you'll be able to earth off that quite easily. The bonnet release is just inside the passenger door just here, and you may or may not have a couple of bits under here. So yeah, so your jack and wheel brace and things are under this passenger seat. Nothing in the glove box. This part does open up at the top there. I'm not sure if there's any. Sometimes there's a little power point in these, I don't know. So I'm not sure. Right, so your diesel filling point is just in here on the near side, just behind the passenger door. So that closes over like that. You see that it's nice and flush with the door when it's shut. Just inside this first cupboard here, the first locker, you've got this here, which is your freshwater filling point. There's a couple of ways you can use this, but basically this part here plugs into the point that I'll show you on the other side, and then you can either plug it into a hose point if you do have one, and that's the the quickest way of doing it, or if you don't have access to that hose point, you plug this into it. There's a couple of power points on each side, and then what you do is, should have been more prepared really. What you do is, let me show you on it actually. Let's go around to it. So you've got the water inlet and the two power points here. So you plug this in like that, and then when you turn the power on for external pump inside on the control panel, you can drop this in to any sort of bucket of water or anything at all, and that will suck the water through there into the van. All right, so that's how you use that. The way to properly lock it in is to push it all the way in and then just pull this lid down a little bit, and that's completely locked in then. All right, so that's how you use that. The reason they do it is so that you can literally get water from anywhere at all and wheel it around in one of the sort of carriers or buckets or whatever, and that means that you can kind of put water in your van from anywhere, even if you don't have a tap nearby. If you do have a tap nearby, like I said, you can literally just pop it onto that. So carpets are all in there. That's every carpet for in this vehicle, and they all have the little poppers on them so that you can put them on and they won't slip around. There is the locker underneath here as well for your wet storage and things like that. Just push that back through. External power point, this one here, and your external gas point. So the external power point will only work when your hookup lead is plugged in. And the gas, well, that'll work all the time because you've got the underslung gas tank. Put them down and then just give them a little tap like that so that they don't flap around when you're driving. Inside the habitation door, this button here does your step. So that works really nicely. You've got a really nice little Autosleeper badge just there which lights up so that you'll be able to see when you come in. These two do lights from inside, so we'll get to that in a minute. We'll just carry around the outside for a minute just so you can see everything. So you've got the tow bar at the back. I actually personally know the previous owner and I'm not convinced that he actually towed very much with it, but I think it's just there just in case. Reversing camera up there, obviously all there wired up already. It looks like it's probably fitted from brand new. Well, it would have been fitted from brand new because it's colour coded with the back. Down here on the off side at the back, we've got your wastewater drain. So if you turn that 90 degrees, it should drain out all the wastewater. And then exactly the same at the front just there for the blue one, that's your freshwater drain. So you just literally turn them and then turn them back when you're finished. Toilet cassette locker. Once you've opened that up, it is really, really simple. All you need to know is when you lift up on this little yellow tab here, you can pull the actual cassette out. Once you've got it out, the only thing, it's brand new to be honest with you, the only thing I will sort of point out is that you've got this little rubber seal here, which is what's called a lip seal. And if you've got some kind of, or if you can get some kind of silicone lubricant, it's really, really helpful to keep a bottle of silicone lubricant in your motorhome. You need to keep that seal there lubricated as often as you can. And also any of these rubber seals around the cupboards, just go around them once with that stuff as well, and that'll stop it from ever sort of like seizing on or letting any water through, because they dry up and then they just allow water straight in. So really important. Silicone lubricant is a godsend really for motorhome owners. Once you drain that out from here, you can then put a cap full of the blue fluid back in here and then put the toilet back away. So that's your actual cassette locker. The one above it, which you open up with this key, the one that doesn't say Thetford on it, the Thetford one is for locking the bottom catch on your actual cassette locker. This top one here is for filling up when you want to fill up your flush fluid. So this is your pink fluid, which needs to be pre-mixed with water. So the reason it has to be pre-mixed, by the way, is that if you pour the pink fluid in and then pour some water in, what will happen is when you pour the flush fluid through inside, you'll get pink fluid and then water. So basically they don't mix if you put them in separately, so you have to pre-mix them. But when you run out of that, just put about 5 or 6 litres in. I think it tends to be about the right amount, or just enough so you can just about see it basically. You'll get the hang of that pretty quickly. Hookup point just here. So like I said, that external point on the other side won't work until this is plugged in, as well as your battery charger, your mains points inside. None of that will work without this plugged in. This vent just here is your Truma boiler vent. So this will be blowing out hot air any time that you've got the thing lit up on gas, basically, for hot water or heating, either way. This one here is an external aerial point, so you can get through to that just by putting that open, but not many people will really use that. It's only really if you have an external aerial that you want to use, but you can just use the one that's fitted inside anyway, on the roof. Next to that, you've got your freshwater filling point, like I showed you a minute ago. So you already know how to use that, but I will show you the buttons to press inside in order to get this to work. But it is really, really simple. And then the last thing outside is your refillable gas. So it's refillable gas system, LPG, and so basically whenever you get to a petrol station that says LPG on the sign, as well as petrol and diesel, you can go in there, put the sort of bayonet style fitting onto that, and then fill it up. And it's a much, much cheaper way of running the gas systems in the motorhomes, because the gas is so much cheaper than buying them from bottles. And plus you haven't got to buy the bottle. So you should find that really, once you found a petrol station that actually has it, then you're sort of good to go on that side of things. In the cab, let's pop the ignition on for a minute. So when we put it in reverse, camera should come on. he says. Perhaps once I've started it up. Hold on a minute, let me start him up. So step's gone away. So the step goes away on its own. There you go. So that's why I know that it's definitely factory fitted, because normally when you would fit one of those aftermarket, it would come on when just the ignition's on, but they've actually wired it up from the factory so that it will only come on when the engine's running, which is even better, really. So it means you can't leave it on by accident and drain your battery out and things. So reversing camera comes on when you put it in reverse. Reverse is lift up on the back, over and up to the top left. You've got cruise control. You can see there in the middle, cruise control on. Lights on and off on the left-hand stalk, as well as your indicators. Washers and wipers are on the right-hand side. Once you've started the engine up, you will also be able to see how much gas is in the system, and you can see it's very nearly full. So, you know, you're going to have weeks and months to get through that. They really do last quite a long time. Electric adjusting mirrors. So if I turn it to the right there, I'm looking at the top right-hand mirror, and then I can move that wherever I want it. I've then got electric adjusting windows, and I can lock and unlock the cab from there. If you want to get to your OBD reader for any reason in the future, it's just behind this little cover here with the two screws on the left. Air conditioning works on that switch just there. So once you turn the the blower up, you can turn the aircon on, and that'll work really nicely. Temperature setting, all that sort of stuff. Hazard lights. You can lock and unlock the cab from inside, which is really helpful as well. And you've got your full stereo system here. All tuned in and all working. Right, so I mean, to be honest with you, there's pretty much every optional extra. I mean, having the aircon and the cruise control, steering wheel functionality, 6-speed gearbox, you know, there's not much that it hasn't got, really. I don't think there is much, really, at all. Okay, so if we imagine we just come through this door now. On the left-hand side, as soon as you walk in, you've got your control panel up here. So it's, I think it's a CBE control panel, but don't hold me to that. When you turn it on, with this main on and off switch over here, you can then see straight away, it'll tell you your battery voltages. So you can flick through up and down. So leisure battery voltage, 12.8, that's perfect. Vehicle battery, 13, that's because we just had the engine running. Main supply off, that's because there's no hookup plugged in. Fresh water level, wastewater level, external temperature. Okay, so where we got there, pump select, and then we got both selected. Okay, so most of the time when you're not trying to fill the van up with water from that point outside, you would have this on internal, like that. So that when you turn the pump switch on, the only thing that happens is the internal pump comes on and tries to pressurize the water system. If I leave it on external, there you go. So I've pressed the button there, and then straight away it's telling me fresh water, 0% full. So I've chosen external, I've put the pump switch on, and then you would plug your pump onto the outside of the vehicle, fill the van up with the water like I showed you outside, and then once you've done that, it will then say fresh water, 50% full, or 75, or whatever. So that's how you do that. So you want to flick through, get to your pump select, choose external, put your plug in on the outside, fill your van up, and then you can change it back over to internal. So that when you put your pump on again, the internal pump comes on, draws that water through from the fresh tank that you've just filled up, and then draws it through to your taps. All right? So that's how that works. You've then got, obviously, your pump switch, like I've already just said. You've got aux as well. So aux will do various things. So aux may or may not do, so it doesn't do that. So basically what the aux button really is for any sort of extra bits and pieces that might be fitted in the future, or, you know, if there are any sort of strange optional extras that they've had fitted, then it may well do that, but I'm not sure. Basically, when you first come into the van, if you just select the power switch and aux, then everything 12 volt in the van will work, basically. All right, got these two switches just here, which do your lights, and they do the ones above the cupboards, which look really nice as well. The last button on there is this one just here, which sometimes I leave out because I don't even, you know, there's no reason to ever press it, but I will just explain it to you and just tell you what it is. So what it does, so all the time that your lights are on at the moment, look, so, you know, I've got lights on, these lights will work, you know, got the little LEDs, the water pump will work when I turn that on, ignitions will work, all that sort of stuff will work, and it's all being drawn from the leisure battery. If I press this button here, the battery then changes over and starts drawing from the engine battery instead.